He's online.
The COVID.
I don't think so. So Bill was home. I don't know why I can't have video. Did you block me?
Did you want to do that in the back instead?
Yeah.
Hey, John. John.
I did. Keep cooking. What's the deal?
If you're not banging the gavel, I'm gonna have to stand up. I'm not gonna sit down.
The meeting to order, 6:01. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and Bill's online tonight. Bill, I'll just, when we do votes, I will, do the ones in here and then call for a voice vote from you. All right, approval of treasurer's warrants, payroll warrants for March 24th and March 31st, 2023, open for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll warrants for March 24th and March 31st, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill? Oh, I know you said aye, but you're muted, Bill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Accounts payable warrants for March 28th and April 4th, 2023, open for motion.
I move to approve the accounts payable warrants of March 28 and April 4, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the minutes for March 21st, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes of March 21, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion, edits? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Number 4, special presentations or awards. We do actually have one tonight. Come on up.
Ross Lawrence, Austin Solutions Officer. This is Sarah Bella Curtis. Back in February, there was a medical emergency in their home, and I wanted to recognize her as while her parents were busy. She took over for her little brother and sister who were here tonight as well. She directed an ambulance in, she got iPads and videos set up for them. She was very scared, understandably so, being at a young age. But I tell them at school, being brave isn't about not being scared, it's about being scared and still taking action anyways and helping out. And she's a leader amongst her class. We had an assembly last week on, starting the 5th grade, we had some question and answers, they asked us to come in. And I think she raised her hand, and asked more questions than anybody else did. So we have a outstanding citizen award that's gonna be presented to her for going above and beyond in the Wiscasset community. It's signed by myself and the chief. This is something we're gonna have going forward to recognize students and people in the community who go above and beyond situations and show courage and bravery. So excellent job, Sarah. I'm very proud of you. I'm sure your family's just as proud of you as I am.
Wow.
I'm gonna let them all take the lead.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks for coming. It's okay.
Somebody's gonna get their picture in the paper too.
Thank you.
That was great.
Can we do one of those every meeting?
Please,
Sure.
that would be great.
All right, moving on to number 5, committee appointments. Wiscasset Cemetery Committee, Mark Light, open for motion.
I move to appoint Mark White to the cemetery committee.
I'll second that.
And moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
yes,
Motion passes 5-0. Wiscasset Cemetery Committee, Suzanne Rankin.
I move to appoint Suzanne Rankin to the Wiscasset Cemetery Committee.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
yes,
Motion passes 5-0. Wiscasset Waterfront Committee, Susan Robson.
I move to appoint Susan Robson to the Wiscasset Waterfront Committee.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
abstain,
Okay, motion passes 4-0-1. Wiscasset Waterfront Committee, David Gagnon.
I move to appoint David Gagnon to the Wiscasset Waterfront Committee.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
abstain. May I explain?
Said abstain and then what?
May I explain? I've had some work I've been doing for churches for 27 years, raising money. I've raised over $1 million and probably 2 million. I've lost track. I've offered my resignation because I've been doing it so long. I think that you need new eyes and all. I'm not saying that these people have done anything. They're nice people, but I think that 20-something years on that, we need new people. That's why I abstained. Didn't say they're doing a bad job, but I just think we need new people.
Okay, thank you. So 4-0-1. Wiscasset Ordinance Review Committee, Jackie Lowell.
I move to appoint Jackie Lowell to the Wiscasset Ordinance Review Committee.
I'll second that.
Any questions or discussion? I have some concerns.
Really? Is she allowed to take notes on that?
Yeah,
Somebody else should.
make sure you- all those in favor? Bill?
In favor,
Motion passes 5-0. Wiscasset Shellfish Committee, Zachary Dalton.
I move to approve Zachary Dalton to the Wiscasset Shellfish Committee.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
In favor.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, we do not have any public hearings. Number 7, public comment on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public who'd like to comment on non-agenda items? Either in person or online. Going once, going twice. All right. We do not have any department head or committee chair items. So on to unfinished business. First one up is retiree health insurance appropriation from the retiree health insurance reserve. We need to put this on the warrant, is that correct?
Yeah, we just missed this one. Somebody mentioned it. I think it was Kim maybe mentioned it. It wasn't there anyways. It needs to be on the warrant. It is up. We had one retiree just this past year and we're anticipating another one this year. So that's why it's higher.
Does this require that special languaging?
Yes,
Which
that's
is
why I
right
put
below
it, why I put it
It's
right
right
on
there.
Do you want me to, did you read?
If you would like to make a motion,
I would. I move to place the amount of $67,920 on the town meeting warrant for retiree health insurance.
Second, that.
and moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
In favor.
motion passes 5-0.
I move to recommend the amount as stated.
Second.
And moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
In favor.
motion passes 5-0. Perfect, planning and economic development budget. Is there anything you wanted to add since last time now? So we don't have any updates about how much would be contributed by?
I don't, I can have that by Monday, once I get the warrant done, but I haven't heard from the attorney yet as to what that would be. It's not gonna be huge sums of money, it'll be a few $1,000s.
But is this, which salary is this reflecting?
This is for the economic development director,
I know, but which salary?
75,000.
75, okay.
I move to place the amount of $146,456 on the town meeting warrant for planning and economic development.
Second,
We moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
In favor.
motion passes 5-0.
I move to recommend the amount as stated.
second,
Sorry, fell asleep.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
In favor.
motion passes 5-0. Capital improvement bond payment.
I move to approve the capital improvement bond payment of $155,701.48.
Can I clarify, should this say to be put on the town warrant?
Yes,
Okay, can you? add
To
that?
approve, it should be to place the amount, okay. I move to place the amount of $155,701.48 as on the town warrant for the capital improvement bond payment.
second,
you got it.
Any questions or discussion? Thank you, I just want to make sure we weren't making a
Yeah,
bond
no,
payment tonight.
I just went right to it.
All right, all those in favor? Bill,
In favor.
motion passes 5-0.
I move to recommend the amount as stated.
second,
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion, Bill,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0. All right, fire department rescue engine.
Can we switch those with the art gallery, Rob and, the gentleman from the fire, they're coming over, we just need to give them a second, so if you don't mind.
Yep, okay, we're gonna come back to that,
Oh, here they come.
oh, or not. Do we wanna give them a second, or? Yeah, we'll give them a second. Main art gallery reserve request. So we've got the 28,800 and the 40,000, the two requests for this budget year.
Right.
As I've stated before, I will be in favor of putting the 28,800 on the warrant for the public to decide on. Because there are potential matching funds, I'm not in favor of the 40,000 because I believe it is more maintenance and also does not have any potential grants at this point, and I do not believe that is in the spirit of the lease. So that's where I'm at.
To be clear, the spirit of the lease is that if they have a matching fund amount that is beyond their ability to do fundraising for a year, that is when we try to partner with them. Is that a good statement?
I wouldn't get that specific.
Okay,
In general, they take care of maintenance, we take care of capital. However, if there is an opportunity for matching grants, we have the potential to collaborate. We're not bound to that. But
that's a great statement.
That is-
Thank you.
that's where I'm coming from.
That, I'm hoping that the minutes will reflect that statement. It's just right down the middle. Okay.
Other board comments before I go to the public?
Yes, I have a comment.
Just a second, before I come to.
I would just like to point out that this lease and previous leases put the onus of maintenance on the art gallery. I think painting, glazing, and maintaining windows is maintenance. And that clearly hasn't been done over the years. I do not feel this rises to the level of a capital improvement. I think this is something that's clearly on the art gallery's shoulders. That they should have been doing all along. If they had been doing it all along, we wouldn't be here. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we just replaced those windows, what, in 1990 or something along those lines. So that's just my 2 cents.
You're against both, or?
I am against both of them.
Right, Jim? Do you want
Yes,
to come here?
The lease under section 9 specifically says that the town will assist the main art gallery in grants writing, but will not fund capital improvements. They accepted the place as found in that order. And they've got such a generous historic lease that nowhere else in the country can you find also pay it forward by in-kind labor. Right there at the top of item 9, it specifically states what the town's responsibility is, and it specifically states it will not give money for grants. And the nebulous language elsewhere was pointed out in that lease discussion, and both the town attorney and I tried to get that some nebulous language corrected, but unfortunately it was passed still nebulous further down.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes, Richard? I know who you are, but I should have had Jim say his name for the folks online.
Good evening, I'm Richard Reese, I'm president of the Main Art Gallery. I would say that we share the perspective that Chairman Whitfield expressed about the spirit and letter of this lease in terms of working as a partnership as we've done over the years. I think that the lease is not an obstacle to that. It is supposed to be a facilitator of that, and I think it's fair to read it that way. Tenant of duration like ours naturally came into the property as we found it. That's all that the as is means. I think that the lease also makes clear that structural components, capital expenditures are not the obligation that arises under minimum maintenance. I understand the town manager's position. I also think that the issue of a building of this age is one where when you look at the historic condition and the precedent that has been established in the relationship 30 years ago about windows and about pointing brick and the other things that went on, those establish a course of dealing that I think was sought to be extended by this lease and what the townspeople voted for 2-1 to extend. They did not vote for an abrogation of the old relationship. They voted for a continuation of that relationship. And I think the course of dealing over the years puts our proposal well within the practices that we have. And I think that, our position is as celebrated in the issue of Maine home design, a long-term generational commitment to bring quality art and good experience to the students, residents, artists of Wiscasset and the surrounding area. And I think that we would welcome this continued partnership, and we speak tonight in favor of the chairman's motion.
Thank you, Richard.
Kim Dolce. I just want to briefly say that the history of having the Maine Art Gallery in Wiscasset is a lovely thing to look back on and to talk about. Discussing the spirit of a lease is lovely to talk about and ponder. But the reason that we have legal documents such as leases is that that is what is to be followed by those who sign it.
To be clear, I believe what I think is both the letter and the spirit. So that's how I read it. The other comments?
So you want to divide this particular issue in making the motion?
Yeah. They're two separate things, and depending on if either of them gets on the warrant, the budget committee also voted on them separately. Correct, Kim? You voted on them separately, right?
Oh, we did.
Yes.
Let's see if I can do this one. I move to place the amount of $28,800 on the town warrant. Town meeting warrant for the Maine Art Gallery.
Do we need to say from capital reserve?
I can figure that out when I do the warrant itself.
Okay. I'll second that. Any further questions or discussion?
Well, I just want to say, because I've been poring over this as well for the last several days, and I agree with kind of everything that's been said here, which is what makes this difficult. When we negotiated this last year, it was my interest in preventing this kind of eventuality. So the fact that it's here is perplexing and a little frustrating. So what I would like, what I'll vote to do is to defer this decision to the town, because I think it's worth kind of taking a poll on it, because it's valuable. I mean, we've got two sides here, so I think that's fair. And but not recommend it, so that, we frame it that way. So that's
Well, I'll make the motion to put it on, and you want to defer?
Sarah
No,
seconded.
he's meaning,
No,
he
I'm
wants
just-
to put it on,
Oh,
he personally wants to put it on the warrant, but
I'm explaining how I'm gonna vote on the motion that's on the table.
got it. Thank you.
Bill, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote against it. I think it's not capital. But also, you know, I don't know who wrote this thing up, but you know, if they spend money for fixing things up during the year, they deduct that from their rent. So we're paying it anyway. It's in Article 3 under rent. And in fact, if they spend more than what the rent is, they can carry it over to the next year. It's an awful contract.
That wasn't supposed to be for routine maintenance, though. That's only for the capital stuff. It's not
Not
for
very
every
clear.
piece of maintenance that they do, they don't submit a bill to the town and have that taken off.
It's not very clear that it's for capital. It also does in-kind contributions too. Anyway, take the vote.
Right, any further discussion? All those in favor of putting it on the warrant? Opposed? Bill,
No,
motion passes 3-1. 3-2. Sorry, 3-2.
3-2, thank you. I was,
That equals 5.
I moved to place the amount of $40,000 on the town meeting warrant.
Well, can we get a recommendation on this one first?
Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. I moved to recommend the amount as stated.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Bill?
opposed.
Okay, vote is 2-3 against. You certainly can. I don't know if,
We don't need the motion. Is
I
that
don't
what you're
know,
saying?
is,
If there's
are you
any-
doing that because you want it on there, or? You're welcome to, I'm just saying, I haven't heard yet anyone from the board who wants to put it on.
Okay. No. It does not
We can
serve,
vote on it.
it does not serve a good purpose, you know, to put forward something that I would be the only vote for. Moving on.
All right. Going back to fire department rescue engine. You wanna come forward?
So we're pretty much where we were this the last time. You know, there's the cap of 800,000 on this. I think the general sense I got from the board and from the budget committee is that we're all in agreement, we need to move forward with this. Is we don't do it this year, we're gonna have to do it next year, and certainly the year after that, and every year we wait, it's just gonna get more and more expensive. We already know there's an emissions change coming from the EPA for heavy truck engines. That's gonna drive, that alone is gonna drive the cost of this up about $100,000 if I'm correct. And so, you know, trucking companies, municipalities, whoever, they're gonna be buying up engines as quick as they can produce them to get ahead of that. So I think we need to move forward with this. I think it's a good idea for us to downsize from 2 pieces of equipment to 1. The question that then becomes, how do we pay for it? Are we going to borrow it, lease it, or take it out of the capital reserve, or just not do it at all? And I think that's, you know, that's where we're at with this at the moment. Interest rates right now, the quotes that I've been getting are running about 5% on a loan, about 5.7% on a lease. So you're looking at interest payments over a 15-year period on either one of them, either side of $400,000 on on an $800,000 piece of equipment, which is half again as much as the cost of the truck itself. You know, we're facing a very large draw from the capital reserves this year. I don't think it's ever been a year that we've taken this much out of it. But if we do all the stuff and get all the stuff done this year that we need, and we have the cash to do it, we can lay off from that for a few years, not take nothing out of it, but the projections that I've done, at least over the 5 years, still come up a little over the 4.5% that the recommended amount is, but it's certainly a lot closer than what it was. If you do want to entertain borrowing the money for it, I do not recommend that the payment come out of the capital reserve account. We already have a bond payment coming out of there, and the more we have to pay debt out of that, the less money we have available to do other things that need to get done. As Kim pointed out the other day, I sent some of you just this brief information this afternoon, where the town's debt service currently is just over $3 million. And this would add another 800,000 to it. Over the next 3 years, we are gonna pay off about 800,000 of outstanding debt. So in about 3 years' time, we'll be back to where we are right now. Bearing in mind that we also are going to be faced with having to take loans out to move or improve that sewer treatment plant, which will add to the town debt. And we were also told by some of the funding agencies at a meeting a month or 6 weeks ago, that if the town has substantial capital reserve money that they're sitting on, they're gonna expect us to pay that on that sewer plant before they start loaning us and providing grant funds. So if we don't do this now, we may end up spending all the money down there and not having a whole lot left to do anything else. So those are just some facts for you to ponder in your deliberations here tonight.
And there are grants out there available. There's Fire Act grants but again, it goes back to proving our financial need, and with however many millions of dollars we have in reserve accounts, they look more towards other towns and departments that show a greater financial need than we can. Which is
So those are some of the federal FEMA grants through assistance of firefighter programs. That the financial need is one of the first things that they look at. They will look at our capital reserves and look and compare them to other towns of the size and say, well, these other towns have a greater need, and they will get the priority for those. They are very, very competitive grants. The chance of us getting one of those is pretty slim.
Questions?
Like a pretty objective answer to me.
Is it an all or nothing? Like, we either lease it or it all comes out of capital, or is there a number that we could aim for?
You know, if you wanted to take half out and borrow half, that's probably an option. I don't see that it really gains us a whole lot. Save us a little bit of interest in interest money, but
Okay, what's the board?
So we should bite the bullet and go for it now, because it's gonna be there next year too.
it's just gonna come back around for sure.
It's
not-
just gonna come
It's
back
not
around.
something that we can say, well, we can put this off for 5 years and what's the history of this town in doing that anyway? We put off and put off and put off.
That's where I was going with that. It makes no sense. I mean, kicking the can down the road is what we are not doing anymore. That is not what we're doing anymore. So if it's the right thing to do and there's obvious need, you know, it's not your fault that this thing costs $800,000. I mean, that's a stunning amount of money
It
to
is,
me.
and it shocks me as well.
15
15 years ago, when we bought our last engine, it was 340,000.
Right,
And it's basically the same truck 15 years later,
wow.
same price. Same truck,
So should we get two?
big price. If we could get in the time machine, go back and buy, put one in mothballs for a while.
You know, there was 12 million in the capital reserve as of today.
Ooh, it's going back up.
For the moment.
I can't tell you what the
Quit.
economy is gonna do moving forward. I can just tell you what the interest, the known is what we would pay in interest on a borrowed money. The unknown is how much are we gonna make on that money if we leave it there because we borrow it. That's the big unknown. I don't, who knows
Oh,
what this economy's gonna do.
Yeah, we can't.
I have some concerns about this economy, but not everybody shares the concerns.
Do you want a
If
motion?
you want me to make a recommendation, I'm gonna say just take it and get it done and be done with it.
Take it and
Take it out of the capital reserve and be done with it.
that's really the only viable option. I move to place the amount of $800,000, is that right? Out of capital reserve on the town warrant for the Wiscasset Fire Department. No, we have to say specifically what it's for. Yeah, for the new rescue engine.
Second that.
Is that good?
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
Yes,
motion passes 5-0. We need a recommendation.
Doing what? I move to recommend the amount as stated.
What was the budget committee's recommendation on that?
They haven't voted on it yet. That will be tomorrow night.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill,
yes,
motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, go for it.
Send no more. Parks and Recreation membership fees.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Dwayne's not here.
Dwayne is
My
not
correct,
sitting
the
there.
second sheet is the percentage increase on the first sheet.
Yes.
So what's the third sheet? Okay. Oh, I see, okay.
We've also got decreases.
Yeah, that was one question I had. Do you happen to know why family, single month and senior couple, senior month went down?
I do not, I'm sorry, I don't.
That's the only ones that went down.
Is it possible it was just a miss, whatever?
It's gone from 78 to 65. Some reason, right? From the third, community partner,
78,
And we
65.
still don't have the actual numbers.
no. For sure. I'd like to understand how these numbers were configured, what rationale was applied.
It's very difficult for me to explain that, because he's tried to explain it to me, and I think it would be better if you heard it directly from him. He just couldn't be here tonight, so, if you guys want to table this to the next meeting, it sounds like you've got enough questions, that might be the best thing to do.
And I would really like to see how many people we have in each of these categories. I know we said it's not, you can't predict, but I'd like to at least know if you changed it today and everyone stayed the same, what would it mean? I think that's a pretty
Pretty good question.
relevant question, yes.
I agree.
Bill?
in a discussion with Dwayne, he said he raised them to where he thought he wouldn't lose people on it, but still be able to gain some money to help the budget. His experience, which we have to rely somewhat on.
That's right, he said that.
So I guess I'd like to table it for both. I'd like to know why the two went down and I'd like the actual numbers.
Are we if we do that, are we getting just a little too close to the deadline?
There's no,
This doesn't have anything to do with the warrant.
Thank
It's
you.
not gonna
no
change
actual
anything.
Thank you. Of
deadline.
course it doesn't.
The only thing is, the longer we kick it, the less, you know, that much less revenue that we get coming in from the increases.
Okay.
right, do we need to vote on that?
I would.
All right, I'll make a motion to table the Parks and Recreation membership fees to our next meeting.
Second,
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Bill?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0. Sorry, I don't mean to kick it down the road, but
it's only a week.
I know,
It's still our road.
2 weeks, but
2 weeks.
still. All right, waterfront fees. So I was confused by this. I don't know.
Oh,
Cause it says at the bottom that they stand by the recommendations, but then it seems like they did change them, so I don't know which one it is.
I think they're standing by the recommendation on the $1,000 and the $1,500 fee for the vendors. They did change, the recommendation on the launch fees, based on the last budget committee, board budget committee meeting comments that we had, but
that's right.
Okay.
That's what I got.
So they partially stand by their recommendation from last time.
I'm wondering if, like, how this was done as well, because we had, their previous recommendation was no increase, and this recommendation is kind of the hypothetical that was offered,
It's a hybrid.
so I'm not sure, like, what was studied, what information was accessed, to come up with these, do you know? Do you wanna?
Would you like to speak to that?
okay.
I would.
Come on up.
Our recommendations were
Stick
provided,
Y'all, who is y'all?
me llamo Ricardo. Vicepresidente. We, the waterfront committee, provided recommendations for lodging fees and tier vendor fees to you, the selectmen, in January. We had no information back that they were reasonable or unreasonable. And the first one is an increase of $25 over the $50 resident for marine harvesters launching their boat. Before this, there were no fees for launching at all. And we felt that $50 was reasonable based on the work that marine harvesters do. When they get sick, they don't harvest marine worms. And so we felt $50 would work. And then for non-resident, we figured $100, you've increased that by 75%. But the one that really involves a lot of people is the peer vendor fee for a 30 by 34. You've increased it 240% from 1,500 to 5,100. I don't understand why.
I think there's a little confusion here. This is from Sue. This isn't from the board or me. This is from Sue to the board.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So I read this to be that we discussed at the last meeting to increase the fees for the launch ramps, which was suggested by a member of the budget committee, and I think everybody agreed with that. But this is not, this says that you guys discussed increasing the fee, or there was a discussion to increase the fee by $5. That hasn't happened by this board.
Which one are you referring to?
Peer vendor
The
fee.
peer vendor fee. We had that discussion last week and I asked Sue, why, what's the rationale behind this? And I certainly didn't get a clear answer as to what the.
As to why it was remaining at 1,500?
Yes,
Okay. First off, you cannot put a 30 by 34 building on the pier. Physically will not fit. It won't hold it. And so the space that's rented for $1,500 is open space with picnic tables. Now, who uses the picnic tables? People get their food at Red's Eats, come over and use the picnic tables. The traveling public comes down, they see the waterfront, they say, oh, there's bathrooms on the waterfront. So they stop, use the parking lot and use the porta potties and continue on the way and complain about nasty porta potties.
I know, I hear all about it.
Yeah, I know. And so we see no advantage for increasing the fees based on what's he getting out of the increase in fee? What is the 30 by 34 really doing for Sprague's Lawn? Actually, it's a public area. It's not his alone, even though he is paying rent for it. Other people use it. And as you know, the parking is poor down there and there's no water and all that kind of stuff. So because there's no serious amenities, we didn't see raising the fee. And that's why we don't want to raise the fee.
So,
But I think the issue was that there was a discrepancy in the square foot price that was pretty large between the two sizes.
But why is that a factor?
Because-
I just.
Yeah.
So administratively, for me to try to administer this, it becomes difficult because we make this 30 by 34 building that's in our policy that we can't even put on the pier to start with. So why can't we just get to a price per square foot, period? Do away with the 10 by 20 and the 30 by 34, which is just useless language because we can't actually do anything with it anyways, and just come up with whatever you guys feel is a square foot.
We would have,
And then if somebody has a 10 by 20 building, then it's 200 square feet, it's $5 or whatever it is, and it's not.
we would have to go back and look at that, reevaluate it, and come up with a recommendation. Is that available to us?
And we've
If you
scheduled
want
a
us-
public hearing for this for the 18th. Because the vendors are going to have to know how much, we already have applications coming in for vendors this year. So we have to establish by May 1st what those fees are gonna be. And the ordinance requires us to have a public hearing 10 days before.
We have a
So
waterfront meeting next Tuesday.
a week before. So I'm saying yes, you could pull it off if they send me the fees so that I can put them in the packet before the meeting of the 18th. You can make your decision then, but still have your public hearing, so it will be fine.
Okay.
Mhm,
What do you think?
mhm. Let them discuss it again and come back with a better recommendation. I want to be clear, the footprint that you're talking about is not a building footprint. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You're talking about a footprint that is just in front of the building that has the picnic tables on it.
It takes the building and you measure 30 by 34 and you get the building plus extra area. So because the buildings do not completely fill a 30 by 34, another section is rented and that's what's used for picnic tables. So it depends on how you really want to look at it. But you're right, there is no 30 by 34 building nor a 10 by 20 building.
What is the actual size of
It's the
that
space.
building?
I don't know.
30 by 20 and 34 by 14. And then the seating is,
Without the picnic tables,
that's without picnic tables.
and it is what again?
30 by 20, 35 by 15. And then the seating is 32 by 25. Approximately.
So am I correct that we have a price for an amount of area that we can't actually put a building on?
Yeah,
The build, yeah,
Safely.
what we're renting or leasing out is an area.
I understand that, but I'm saying you could, did I hear you and I think Sue before say, that you can't safely actually put a
That's what
30
I've
by
been told.
34? Okay,
That's what I've been told.
so I guess for me, I don't think we should have a price for a size building we can't have, so whether it's we
Yeah.
decide, okay, 30 by 24, whatever is the biggest you can have, and then if you want a separate price for things that are not a building, fine, I don't wanna complicate it, but I guess that would, I don't think that makes sense to have a price, for us to have a
I
price
agree
that,
with Dennis. I think the easiest way out of all of this is the square foot.
It's just, it's a square foot, this is a footprint that I need for my building and my picnic tables, whatever it is. And it's whatever, how much a square foot, it's much easier for me to administer this, and I don't have to keep going through this.
And we'd be glad to do that.
all right,
okay.
thank you.
We'll do it Tuesday and we'll be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll probably be here anyways.
All right, new business license for Perenya Wilkie, I hope I'm saying that right, LLC, 15 Acorn Road, Wiscasset.
Move to approve the business license application for Harenia Wilkie LLC at 15 Acorn Road, Wisconsin.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Bill?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0. Discussion on increasing the selectmen terms from 2 to 3 years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this a lot. It takes about a year to learn this job really well, and then you have a year to do it. And so we've been talking about increasing the term to, I think, professionalize it a little bit more, give people a chance to spend some more time in the job after they've gotten familiar with it. And it also kind of sort of ups the commitment level that people be making to do the job in the first place. So I think this is a good move for us, and I support it.
And were this to go on the warrant, it wouldn't impact any races this year, it would be the next round.
Right,
Yeah, nobody here currently gets to, yeah, it's like the money thing, you can't.
Well, and I would point out, we don't have time to get it on the June warrant at this point anyways, it would have to be on the November warrant. So
oh, okay.
there's plenty of time for discussion on this.
So what we were doing tonight doesn't go on the June warrant?
No,
Not for this discussion here.
we just have talked about it informally and wanted to put it on here to see what others thought in
Okay.
general, whether there's any kind of interest in further discussing.
What Dusty said, absolutely correct. We're just now getting good at this. And here I am
I
up
said
for
a little
election.
differently.
Yeah, I should speak for myself. 2 years is minimum amount of time to really understand this job. And there's lots of training opportunities, but really the way you learn this job is by doing it. And I think a 3-year term is a far more professional approach to our policymaking in this town.
3-year
I
terms
like it.
in most other towns as well. I don't.
Kind of the timing that, like things play out as well, so you can see things through. Like the main art gallery deal. I've said this before, but when you vote on something, you're not voting to solve problems, you're voting to pick which set of problems you want. So depending on how the main art gallery vote goes in June, that defines the work that we do over the next year, and clarifying that contract and looking at their report in detail and determining what's capital and what's maintenance and that kind of thing. So, that could happen at any point. Someone new would come along and begin it, but 3 years gives a little more opportunity for people complete projects or whatever, you know, that kind of thing, so. But yeah, it's something that I'd love to hear people come in and give their opinion about, and see what people in town think about that idea.
I'm kind of impartial to it, I don't know, I'd like to hear more opinions, I guess, but I'm leaning towards sticking with 2 years, but just off my initial thoughts, I guess, and
Okay.
it's not like it's a stiff campaign run, like, you think you're doing a great job, run again.
All right, so it sounds like there's at least enough interest to continue the discussion.
Yeah,
All right. All right, no assessment business, correct? Okay, town managers report?
As, as you all know, it's the Old Ferry Road project, the cost ended up being substantially higher than what we had anticipated it was gonna be, and so I've spent quite a bit of time chasing money around. We got the congressionally directed spending for $1.3 million, which was great, but that still left us somewhere around $500,000 shy from what we needed to be. And I got notification from the Department of Marine Resources today that they are providing us with a $500,000 grant to finish up that project down there, so that will be on your next board meeting too. I just couldn't get it on this agenda because I just got it, but that will be on your next board agenda to approve acceptance of that money, so construction costs haven't gone up too much since the last time we went out to bid. We should have enough funds to do this without asking the town to come up with any more money than what was already appropriated for it, so.
it's great. Gosh, Dennis, is that your happy face? Wow.
When have you seen me with a happy face?
Well, this was a really great thing that you just said. I'm happy. Okay.
And other than that, you know, now that the budget stuff is winding down, hopefully I can start concentrating on some of these other things that have been kind of pushed to the back burner, like Mason Station and a few other pet projects that I have that I want to bring forward at some point using other funds.
What is the report on the new senior livings retirement construction? How are they doing?
We went through a tour. I thought I mentioned this on the last meeting.
Sorry.
I have done, we just, Rob and Bruce and I went through a tour. Bruce and I went through a tour to see where they're at on the interior of the building, which is totally got it completely down to the studs.
Right.
They're currently waiting for, they have to go through their permit process with the fire marshal's office. So they're currently going through that process.
Okay.
They started a month or so ago, and I think the estimate from the fire marshal's office was probably 4 months to get their completed permits in place. We still have to have a discussion with them as to how much they're going to pay towards upgrading that pump station out there for an impact fee.
Yeah.
Because that was what the planning board had conditioned their building permit on. And I've met with them once already on that. We're at a little bit of a difference, but not a huge amount, and I'm sure we'll get there. But they're moving forward with it. If anybody wants lights from a gym, they're there, they're free, come take them. There's some lockers and stuff in there too they'd like to get rid of, but they're ready to start going the other way with that now. They'll get some engineering done for their plumbing and their electrical and start. They had the lines laid out where some of the units would go, and showed us some plans on what they plan to do with some of the open interior areas that you know you may not be aware of, but they're in there every day, so.
Do they have a waiting list yet?
They do.
That's what I wanted to know.
They do.
That's
And
amazing.
and we still get 1 or 2 calls a week from people wanting to know
Yeah.
when they're gonna get in there, so, you know, the demand is still there, people are still looking forward to getting there, so.
And do we have, is there an end in sight on the building downtown?
Last estimate I had from them a week or so ago was by May 1st. They're working on the Water Street end right now, repairing the brick on that side. It was worse than they thought it was.
Hmm,
So it's taking a little longer, and some of the workers have gotten COVID, the mason broke his foot, and
hmm,
so it's slowed down, but they still anticipate being done by May 1st.
great. Wow.
Any other questions? Right. Any other board business before we go into executive session? Do we anticipate a vote after exec? We do not anticipate a vote after executive session, Susan. I'm guessing you're wondering. All right. I'll entertain.
That's funny. She just gave a thumbs up.
I'll make a motion to enter executive session for discussion of confidential records, MRSA subsection 405(6).
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor? Bill,
Yes.
6:59 PM. So Bill, just hang on and